Hey everybody, I'm back with the 2021.5 GPX Moto TSE250R. We're going to take a look at the ZeelTronic. I'm going to give you the settings I have if you want to mess with this. I'm actually going to uninstall the system. I don't think on this year bike it really made a difference. I have it all nicely installed too, like I used cloth tape, I used a wire loom, this is the power. RPM is this black cable going up into this big guy right there. I forget which color it's going to. And the 2021.5s have these nice waterproof connectors, so I did nicely. I had this all cloth electrical taped, but then I was playing around making sure wires were correct because I was having an issue that this was jumping around. It still does at high RPM, because I have weirdness that acts. I didn't have that with the stock computer. Yeah, this thing would do a dance from time to time, starting the bike or turning the bike off, but I don't really care if it goes that doesn't bother me. I don't care. I don't think the computer really did much, unfortunately, but I want to show you how I have it. You can follow this if you want. I'm gonna sell the ZeelTronic. I have it down here. I mounted it up under the box, but it really needs a zip tie up under there because it fell off on the last ride. And I use good 3M bionic tape. But that's a good location for it because if it's actually, here, try to reach up in here. I can put it back into place somewhat temporarily. So it was like that. And the port is right there. You can pull the rubber plug, put the computer in, and that's pretty good. That's a good location. Just need to put a hole through the battery tray here and put a zip tie around it for extra security. But I don't need to do that now because I've decided. I'm just going to completely remove it, go back to the bike, doing its thing. I'll sell this to you. Maybe this works a lot better on the 2019s, on the older models. Maybe it's the servo here. I don't know. The settings seem very odd. So I'm going to give you everything. My ground I have going down to here, right here, this bolt. So the ground went down to there. I capped off the original stuff real nice to keep dirt out. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to be swapping this connector back over here, putting shrinking tube and putting cloth tape back on it and making it look like no one will know except because I'm selling this bike and I have videos, they will know, right? This wire, if you're wondering, goes to the switch. If you have two programs, you can hook this up to a switch, which I was going to do, but I thought this thing would work a lot better. I don't know. I couldn't recommend this necessarily for the 2021.5s. Now, like I said, the 2019s, maybe the 2020s, and maybe the 2021s, but not the 0.5s. It does not seem like it does, you know, much of anything, and just adds more complication, more a computer. If you like tinkering around, yeah, you get the computer and you can play around with the settings and stuff. So let's take a look at the settings that I was using, and you can go from there. Also, here are various settings. And I don't know if you can all see that due to lighting and what have you, that LED light. But I have Bobby's curve written down, and we don't know what stock is, but that's his closed position was 240, open is 640. Mine's nowhere like that. So if you're installing this, maybe it has to do with the servo, you're gonna have to play around with all that. So I'll show you what I have now. However, I have to point out before I show you that Bobby's diagram is very good and still true. So, still true. And the colors were still correct. I even opened up this servo completely to see if it matched up to Bobby's stuff, and yes, it still did. So it wasn't anything in here. You know, messed around with adjustments were a lot different than how Bobby's has seen in his video. So I don't know. I'm not that big of a tinker, so I'm going to just show you what I have, and you can go from there, right? So it gives you another set of ideas on what's going on. So let's go ahead and hook up the computer here. So you take out the rubber plug, which is that, from the computer. You take the end, it only goes in one way, a ribbon cable, kind of like the old school days. In fact, because I'm not going to keep it in there, I will just bring it out. So this is what it looks like. And find the correct direction. You find the correct direction and go ahead and plug it in carefully. And there you have it. Yeah, plugged in. It comes on, does like a little boot up thing. And I'll turn on the bike up here. You could hear that. And you can say enter plus set power curve. So this is the important one. I hope you can really see that. I can't on my GoPro display. Number of points, we have 5. Oop, you hit enter, you can select and change that up to 8. So the first point at 2500 RPM, 0. Power valve is opening at 0. So if I want to change it, you just hit enter and then you can change that up and down by 100. Then you hit enter and it goes to percentage. And you could change that, the percentage of it opening. So hit plus. 4,000 RPM is 20%. 6,000 RPM is 60%. 7,000 RPM is 80%, and 8,200 RPM is 100%. And there we have, and we can go and we can exit the curve. And then deviation, it says in the instructions, if you're getting that jittering, you know, play with that. So I'm up to 13%. It's helped, but it doesn't eliminate it on the high end going fast, and I feel that in the bike, and I didn't feel that before, so the bike actually ran really good. So to change it, you hit enter again, up or down, hit enter or exit. Close position, I have at 20. Open position, I have at 278. To set that, basically follow what Bobby talks about in his video, which I'll have a link in the description, but you'll have this cap off and you'll watch where that goes. Mine, on the open position, closed position is nice and steady. On the open position, it starts jerking so much, like you're basically guessing. And I think that's a problem when I'm at higher RPM. So that's why I'm just getting rid of this. I'm not going to mess with it. I'm not going to buy another servo motor and all that stuff, because I'm not keeping the bike long term. Pulses, 1, and you can do the test, and that should go, and that will jerk too. And see. So you can slowly open it up all the way to 100% from your settings. PV map switch, it's on, but I don't have another button hooked up. So anyways, there we go, exit. And if you start the bike, it will show you information. Let's see, let's see if I can get the bike quickly started here. Oh. Helps if I hit the button. So if you can see that, you get the information. Oh, I don't know what the error is about. Oh, oops, because I turned the key off. It needs power. There we go. So we're back. So you get the RPMs, and then it will show you the percentage it's opening. I don't know why it was making that sound, but I did abruptly shut it off. Oh, here. I don't know why it's cranked all that way. Should go that way. See, but things like that, that's why I don't know, and I'm done messing with this. So key, that's off. So unplug it, it goes off. This unit does take a couple batteries, or a 9-volt battery inside. And anyways, that's where I'm at. See, the bionic tape for some reason gave out on me. I don't know why. But that's a good place, I think, to mount it. Just use a zip tie, maybe put some RTV on the back of your bionic tape and toss it on there and zip tie it. And that way it will, you know, basically glue itself on the bottom side. And I think that's a good space into there if you're gonna do it, because accessing, pull this panel off and you can take the rubber cap off and put the cable right in. It's a good spot, good access point. So that is how this bike is set up. I also have to repair this. It broke on the last outing, 3 wires. Good thing I have all the stuff. That's my speed and mileage. So I need that back on. So fix that too while I have the soldering iron plugged in. And that's basically it for the ZeelTronic. Would I recommend it? No, not for the 2021.5s at least. So I'll be selling this. Somebody's gonna get a good deal on it. And maybe I'll throw in some ends for you. So if you need to mess with your bike, because I guess the older ones, it was a real crummy connector. So that way you could upgrade, and those didn't cost me much anyways. You know, this was like 250 bucks, and I just don't think it's needed. Don't think it's needed. So, okay, I want to get to it and get this thing back to stock. So this wire that I have coming from the ZeelTronic, I have spliced into the red white wire, and that wire, if you trace it, should come up here to this switch. So there we have that. I'm just going to cut it there, make sure there's a drop of solder on there still, which I think there is because I soldered that in there. I spliced in between, soldered it, and then I'll put a piece of electrical tape on that, and then I'll put the cloth tape over, and it will be good. You know, no harm will ever come from that spot. And then that's done from being connected. I already unplugged this. I have a bolt connector that went up, and I actually have the wrong end, to the key. So I need to cut that off and clean it up. When I cut these type off, when you cut these off, I'll cut it off, I'll leave a little bit of length, and I will put some shrinky tube, crimp the end of the shrinky tube, and then cloth tape it back. And then once again, perfect, won't ever bother anyone. And then the ground's down here, and that's easy enough. I will take the ground off, and that's pretty much the system. I just have to take back the stock connector here. So I cut each shrinky tube and heat it up and pull off each wire, and then put that wire back onto the stock harness. And then that's basically all I need to do. But I just wanted to show you where that connected. And it's kind of a pain to splice in like that, but I did because these connectors are pretty nice. And anyway, so it will be back to normal. And then once I get this switched over, I'll be back on the stock computer, and we'll see how it goes.